Okay, so here's our final example. And the question is simply, is the image a rigid transformation? Explain why or why not. So they're not even asking which transformation is done. They're simply asking you, is this a rigid transformation? Now, it looks like it's been turned a little, right? But maybe it was slid a little, but that doesn't matter. It's the rigid part. Is this the same size? They didn't ask you that question about distance preserving, but it's the same idea. It's only a rigid transformation if it stays the same size. They've got to be congruent. So, common sense, I can look at the image here. It's smaller, but I've got to be able to prove it. So, trace it or measure it. I'm going to go ahead and measure 2 points because that's quick for me. Call this A and B. Looks like 2, a little over 2, so 2 or 2.1. I'll put the 2.1 millimeters. I'm not using inches because these are such small shapes and none of them would even be an inch, and I don't want to have to try to figure out the distance in between inches. It's a lot easier with the millimeters. For the second shape, I'm going to call this A prime, B prime, and it is only 1.9 millimeters. So I've got to answer this in words because it's a word problem. So is it a rigid transformation? I just have to write in the space. So no. This is not a rigid transformation because the image is smaller than the pre-image. One sentence. That's all we need. You're next going to go to IXL 8th grade, skill P4, and you're going to practice just being able to identify rigid transformations. You work on that until you get to a score of an 80, then you come back to this Pear Deck to get to your exit ticket. Okay, so before you take your exit ticket, I want to make sure you understand what it is asking you to do. It says, describe what kind of transformation will be required to move the figure on the left. That's this one. This is the pre-image for the first 3 questions. How do you get the figure on the left to each of the figures on the right? Okay, so how do you get the pre-image from here to here? Question number 1. Then how do you get it from here to here? Question number 2. And then finally, how do you get it here? Which transformation occurs for each one separately? But each time you start here with the pre-image. Do your best, use your notes, submit your Google Doc as soon as you're done.